Claire understands that moment for what it is, not loneliness, but fear. She knows Jamie's silences. She knows when he needs space and when he needs someone to reach into the shadows with him. And this silence is the kind that grows dangerous when left untouched. She wraps a shawl around her shoulders and steps outside, the cold biting gently at her skin. Each step toward him feels like crossing a distance far greater than their land. When she finally reaches his side, Jamie does not turn. He stares into the horizon, as if searching for answers written in the darkness. Claire stands beside him without speaking, giving him the chance to breathe before the weight of truth settles between them. For a long moment, neither of them breaks the quiet. It is Jamie who finally exhales, not a sigh, but something deeper, a release of tension he has held for years. His voice, when it comes, is low and unsteady in a way she has rarely heard. He tells her the message was not a warning, but a reminder of a promise made long ago, one he had hoped would never return to demand its price. Claire listens carefully, her heart tightening at the tremor hidden in his words. Jamie reveals only fragments, unable to let the full truth spill out. But even those fragments carry enough weight to shake her. He speaks of a person he once knew, someone tied to a choice he regrets, someone who now seems determined to force him back into a life he buried. Claire wants to reach out and hold him, but she senses the truth is still tangled, not ready to be unraveled all at once. Instead, she asks him a single question, one that matters more than any detail. She asks whether this secret places his life in danger. Jamie hesitates, his jaw tightening as he stares into the distance. That silence gives her the answer before he speaks. When he finally admits the truth, Claire feels the world tilt beneath her, not with panic, but with a cold determination. If something threatens Jamie, it threatens both of them, and she will not allow fear to make them powerless. But she knows this battle is not like the ones they have fought before. This threat does not come from soldiers, from war, or from the twisting lines of time. It comes from the heart of Jamie's pastor, part of him he never wanted her to see. Jamie looks at her with eyes that hold years of pain, uncertainty, and something deeper, guilt. He blames himself for keeping the secret from her, though she does not yet know what the secret truly is. He worries that revealing it will change the way she sees him. Claire takes a slow breath, steadying her voice. She tells him that whatever the truth is, it cannot break what they have built. But even as she speaks with courage, a small, cold whisper runs through her mind. What kind of truth could make a man like Jamie Fraser fear the woman who loves him most? Jamie turns away again, torn between confession and silence. Old memories rise in him, like smoke from a long-dead fire. Faces, decisions, consequences. He feels the pull of history clawing at him, dragging him backward. His every instinct tells him to protect Claire by keeping the truth inside. But another part of him, the part that has survived every storm because of her, knows that secrets have a cost. And this one, if left unspoken, could become the greatest danger of all. When they finally step back inside, the house feels different, filled, not with their usual warmth, but with something fragile and uncertain. Claire watches Jamie sit by the dying fire, his hands clasped tightly, as if holding on to something slipping through his fingers. She sees fear there, but she also sees resolve. The truth is still hidden, but the battle around it has already begun. And though Claire does not yet understand the full weight of this secret, she knows one thing with certainty: whatever is coming for Jamie is closer than ever, and the past he tried to outrun is finally stepping into the light. If you'd like, I can continue with section 4 in the same deep, dramatic, and unique style. The next morning arrives with a pale, washed-out light, the kind that feels thin and uncertain, as though the sun itself is unsure whether it wants to rise. The quiet inside the house is heavier than the air outside, carrying the tension of unspoken truths. Jamie sits at the edge of the room, hands clasped tightly, eyes fixed on the glowing embers left from the night before. Claire watches him from a distance, feeling every inch of the space between them. She knows the truth is pressing against him now, refusing to stay hidden any longer. Whatever this secret is, it has grown too large to be carried alone. She approaches slowly, not wanting to push him, yet knowing they cannot keep circling the same silence. When she sits beside him, Jamie doesn't move at first. He keeps his gaze on the fire, as if the small flames can offer an answer he has long avoided. Claire waits, letting the moment settle, giving him the time he needs to gather the courage he has been searching for. Finally, he turns toward her, his face lined with worry, but also with the strength she has always admired. He tells her the truth didn't begin with the message, it began years ago, long before she ever came into his life. It began with a choice he made to save someone, a choice that chained him to a promise he hoped would never resurface. Claire listens, her breathing steady but her heart pounding. Jamie explains that the person who sent the message knows a truth about him that could tear apart the life they've built. It is not a crime he committed, nor a betrayal he intended, but a connection, one that ties him to a past allegiance that still has power. Jamie admits he kept this hidden not to deceive her, but to protect her from the consequences. Claire feels the fear in him, thick as the morning fog outside. He believes that if she fully understands the depth of this secret, she may see him differently. Her heart aches for him for the years he carried this burden alone. The room grows still as Jamie reveals more. He tells her that the person who sent the message is someone he once trusted, someone who stood beside him during a dark chapter of his life. But trust, he explains, can turn into a weapon when held by the wrong hands. This person now wants something from him, something he cannot give without destroying everything. Claire feels a chill run through her. She asks him what exactly this person wants. Jamie's silence is answer enough. She understands then that the danger is not only to him, but to both of them, and to the fragile peace they've fought so hard to build. Jamie rises from his seat, unable to remain still any longer. He begins to pace, his steps heavy on the wooden floor. Claire watches him carefully, realizing that the secret he carries is bound not just to emotion, but to a threat that grows larger with each passing moment. She steps toward him, placing a gentle hand on his arm, grounding him. Jamie stops, inhaling deeply, as if her touch anchors him in a storm he can no longer outrun. She tells him that secrets lose their power when shared, that the truth spoken aloud will always be better than fear whispered in silence. Her voice is soft, but firm, the voice of a woman who refuses to let fear rule their lives. Jamie finally meets her gaze, and for the first time since the message arrived, something inside him breaks open, not in weakness, but in release. He begins to speak, truly speak, letting the story unfold in full. Claire listens with unwavering attention, absorbing every word, every detail. She does not interrupt, does not question, does not judge. She simply holds the truth as he offers it. And when he finishes, when the weight of the secret hangs in the air between them, Claire steps closer and takes his hands in hers. She tells him that no truth, no mistake, no shadow of the past could ever make her turn away. Yet even as she holds him, even as she reassures him, a new fear settles deep within her. Now that she knows the truth, she understands the danger more clearly than before. This is not a threat that can be ignored. It is not a warning that will fade. The person who sent the message is not merely reaching out from the past, they are coming, and they hold a power over Jamie's life that cannot be dismissed. Claire and Jamie stand together in the quiet room, the morning light spilling across their faces. They are united, stronger than the secret that once stood between them. But outside, beyond the safety of their home, the past moves closer, step by step, and the one who carries Jamie's fate in their hands is already on the way, bringing with them a truth sharp enough to cut through everything in its path. If you want, I can now write the final teaser ending, or continue the story into a section 5 with the same depth and emotion. A truth long buried is about to rise again, and when it does, it will strike at the heart of the one man who has survived every war, every betrayal, and every twist of fate. Jamie Fraser has faced danger on every battlefield, but this time the threat does not come from an enemy he can see. It comes from a secret powerful enough to break the life he has built, shake the trust of the woman he loves, and turn friend into foe. As the shadows of the past creep closer, one question becomes impossible to ignore. What happens when the truth meant to protect someone becomes the very thing that could destroy them? The air in the highlands feels heavier than before, as if the land itself senses something approaching, something old, something sharp, something that refuses to stay hidden any longer. Claire can feel it too, though she cannot name it. There is a strange stillness around the Fraser household, the kind that comes before a storm, when the sky hangs low and the earth holds its breath. Jamie notices it in her eyes, in the way she pauses when he speaks, in the way she looks toward the horizon as if expecting someone to appear. But she says nothing, and he does not press her. Both of them know silence can be as loud as thunder when fear hides inside it. Jamie has always carried the weight of his past, like a shield across his back. He never asked for the battles he fought, nor the scars that marked him, but he accepted them as the price of survival. Yet this new tension is different. It has no shape, no face, no clear source. It slips into the quiet moments, settling in the corners of the room like smoke that refuses to clear. Claire watches him when he isn't looking, searching for the cause behind the shadows flickering across his expression. But even he does not fully understand what haunts him. It is only a feeling, at first a memory, knocking faintly at the door of his mind, asking to be let in. For days, Jamie tries to ignore it. He continues his routines, talks to the men, checks the fields, and tends to the horses, hoping movement will drown out the echo of whatever is calling to him. But the past is stubborn. It does not fade simply because a man wishes it gone. Instead, it follows him in the quiet steps of early morning, when the world is still dim and the mist rises across the land. It whispers in the back of his thoughts, pulling threads he tried to cut long ago. He feels the pull growing stronger each day, like someone tightening a rope he didn't know was still tied to him. Claire senses the shift as clearly as she feels the beat of her own pulse. She does not know the details, but she knows Jamie well enough to recognize when something inside him is stirring. She sees the way he pauses at the doorway before stepping out, as if weighing whether it is safe to leave. She notices how his hand lingers on certain objects, a letter, an old keepsake, a worn piece of cloth. Items, she thought, had little meaning but now seemed to anchor him in a way she cannot fully explain. Claire is a woman of reason, a healer who understands the world through signs and symptoms. Yet this unease cannot be diagnosed with any medical knowledge she has. It is deeper, older, woven into the story of Jamie's life, long before she ever stepped into it. Still, she chooses not to confront him too soon. She knows Jamie hides things not out of mistrust, but out of fear that sharing them will burden the people he loves. So she waits, hoping that when the moment comes, he will speak freely. But the moment does not come. Instead, a strange message arrives, simple, ordinary, yet unsettling. A small piece of parchment with no name attached. Just a single line written in a hand Jamie recognizes instantly. Claire watches his face as he reads it, sees the color drain from his skin, sees his breath catch for just a moment. He folds the message without a word, but his eyes have changed. Something he hoped never to face again has found him. And though Claire does not yet know what the message says, she can feel the truth in the air around them. Whatever secret Jamie has kept locked away has finally returned. And this time it is not willing to be ignored. The morning after Jamie receives the message, the world seems to move differently around him. The sun rises the same way it always has, spilling soft gold over the hills, but Jamie feels none of its warmth. Instead, he carries a cold weight in his chest that settles deeper with every passing hour. Claire watches him closely, noticing how he grips the edge of the table a little too tightly, how he pauses before answering the simplest of questions. Something inside him is shifting, and she can see it as clearly as if the change were written across his skin. She has seen Jamie face danger with calm determination, but this is not the look of a man preparing for a fight. This is the look of a man running out of places to hide. Jamie had hoped the past would remain buried, sealed behind choices made long ago, but the message proves otherwise. It is a reminder that truth never loses its way. It always finds the one it belongs to. He has carried this secret for years, believing it safer in silence than in the open. He told himself he was protecting his family, protecting Claire. But deep inside, he knows the real reason. Speaking the truth would mean facing a part of himself he never wanted to face again. And now, someone else holds that truth too. Someone who has chosen this moment to pull it into the light. Jamie feels the familiar ache in his chest, the one that comes when old memories force their way back. Memories tied not to glory or honor, but to fear and regret. Claire senses the shift in his presence long before she gathers the courage to speak. She moves quietly through the house, observing him with careful eyes, trying to piece together the puzzle without pushing him too hard. She sees him stand for long stretches without moving, lost in thought. She sees the tension in his shoulders when he reads the message again and again, as if searching for hidden meaning. She knows him well enough to understand that this is no ordinary problem. It is something personal, something that grips his spirit and refuses to let go. Claire considers asking him directly, but she remembers the promise she once made to give him time, to let him share his burdens when he is ready. Yet she also knows that if the secret threatens his life, there may not be time to wait. Jamie tries to keep the truth inside, but the pressure builds until even the smallest sound feels sharp against his nerves. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of leaves outside, every distant voice seems to make him flinch. He knows he cannot continue like this, but admitting the truth would mean reopening wounds he has kept sealed for too long. The message was written by a person he hoped never to see again. Someone tied to a part of his life he has never spoken about, not to Claire, not to anyone. The words were simple, but heavy enough to shake him. You cannot outrun what you owe. Jamie knows exactly what the sender means, and the meaning chills him more than any winter wind ever could. As the day stretches on, Claire and Jamie grow more distant, not by choice but by the weight of the unspoken. Claire feels the tension pressing between them like a wall she cannot climb. She tries to stay near him, hoping her presence might ease his burden, but Jamie walks through the house like a shadow, searching for a place to rest. She reaches out a hand once, lightly touching his arm. And for a moment he closes his eyes, letting the warmth of her comfort wrap around him. But the moment passes quickly. He pulls away not because he wants to, but because the truth inside him feels too dangerous to share. Claire stands silently as Jamie steps outside, watching him walk toward the edge of the land, where the sky meets the hills and the world opens wide. He stands there for a long time, facing the wind, his back straight but his spirit unsettled. She knows he is deciding something, weighing a choice that will shape everything that comes next. Claire wants to call out to him, but the words catch in her throat. She can only watch and wait. Jamie lifts the message one last time and lets the wind pull it from his fingers. The parchment twists through the air before drifting away, but even as it disappears, Claire knows the secret it carried is still very much alivened now. The danger surrounding Jamie is closer than ever. If you'd like, I can continue with section 3 in the same tone, depth, and length. Night settles over the land like a heavy cloak, wrapping the Fraser home in a silence that feels thicker than darkness itself. It is the kind of night where shadows seem to breathe, where every flicker of candlelight stretches long across the floor, and where even the calmest heart feels the pull of worry. Claire lies awake, listening to the quiet rhythm of the house, waiting for Jamie to return inside. Hours pass, but he does not come. She rises, unable to stay still any longer, and moves soundlessly to the window. Outside, she sees his silhouette standing alone on the ridge, the sky behind him dim and wide. He hasn't moved since sundown. It is as if he is holding back time itself, refusing to let tomorrow arrive.